Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 8, Text 9. Aho Batayam Harina Konaka Kripana Ishvara Rathacharana.
Aho Patayam Harina Kunaka Kripana Ishvara Ratha Charana
Paribrammanarayena Swagana Suhrit Bandhubhya Parivarjitaha.
Paribrahmana Rai Swagana Bandhubhya Parivarjita
Saranam cha mopa sadito mam eva mata pitaro bhratar gyatin.
Sharanam Cha Mupasadito Mam Eva Mata
Pitro Bhrata Gratim
Yothikams chay wo peyaya nanyam kanchana vedamai ati.
Yotikam
Chaiva
Yaya Nanyam Kanchana Vedamayati
Visrabdhaschata eva maya matparayanasya poshana palana.
Vishrabdaschata eva maya matparayan poshana palana
Trinana lalanam anasuyuna no stheyam sharan yopeksha dosha vidusha.
Lalanam
Lalanam
Anuya Anusheshtam
Vishayam
Shaya Tadosha
Charanyopeksha
Vidusha
Dosha Vidusha.
The great King Maharaj Bharat began to think, alas, this helpless young deer, by the force of time, an agent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has now lost its relatives and friends and has taken shelter of me. It does not know anyone but me, as I have become its father, mother, brother, and relatives. The deer is thinking in this way, and it has full faith in me. It does not know anyone but me, therefore I should not be envious and think that for the deer, my own welfare will be destroyed. I should certainly raise, protect, gratify, and fondle it. When it has taken shelter with me, how can I neglect it? Even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. That would be a great fault. So, when a person is advanced in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, he naturally becomes very sympathetic toward all living entities suffering in the material world. That a devotee is naturally compassionate. This is what Prabhupada is saying. We are reading the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is saying here that a devotee is naturally compassionate, like Arjuna also, no? He was naturally compassionate, so he didn't want to kill his cousins or his grandfather or his teachers. Naturally, such an advanced person thinks of the suffering of the people in general. However, if one does not know of the material sufferings of fallen souls and becomes sympathetic because of bodily comforts, as in the case of Bharat Maharaj, such sympathy or compassion is the cause of one's downfall. If one is actually sympathetic to fallen, suffering humanity, he should try to elevate people from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. As far as the deer was concerned, Bharat Maharaj became very sympathetic, but he forgot that it was impossible for him to elevate a deer to spiritual consciousness because, after all, a deer is but an animal. So Prabhupada is pointing out that yes, devotee is always compassionate. Devotee is always he feels very much compassion for the suffering of the living entities. But devotee understands that the suffering of the living entities is due to being in this material existence. So devotee tries to bring one to spiritual life because he knows that only by coming to spiritual life will the suffering actually go away. But Bharat Maharaj, Prabhupada is saying, he forgot that, okay, he's sympathetic to the deer, yes, but he forgot that he could not bring the deer to spiritual consciousness. It was very dangerous for Bharat Maharaj to sacrifice all his regulative principles simply to take care of an animal. The principles enunciated in Bhagavad Gita should be followed. Yam hina vyathanti vyathayanti ete purusham purusharshava. As far as the material body is concerned, we cannot do anything for anyone. However, by the grace of Krishna, we may raise a person to spiritual consciousness if we ourselves follow the rules and regulations. If we give up our own spiritual activities and simply become concerned with the bodily comforts of others, we will fall into a dangerous position. So Prabhupada is saying that we ourselves need to be spiritually strong. We ourselves need to follow the rules and regulations. And then we can actually give real compassion to others. Not only caring for their body, but caring for the person himself, the soul. And if we are not strong enough, then we are putting ourselves in a dangerous position. You know, like if somebody, like how they say, right, the expert swimmer, we don't know how to swim and we are trying to save another, then we will also drown. Something like that. Or like the aeroplane, how we are always told you put your mask first, then you put the mask on another. So that is more appropriate, that we ourselves become spiritually strong, follow the rules and regulations, and then give this to others. Help others, because each of us are suffering here in the material world. Each of us needs help. Nunam hi arya sadhva upashama shila kripana surida evam.
Nunam
Nunam
arya
arya
sadhava
sadhava
upashila
upashama
kripana
shila
sudra
kripana suitra eva.
Vidharte swarthan api gurutaran upekshante.
vidhi
Vidhate
arthe
swarthan api guru taran
apnan
upekshante.
upekshante.
Even though one is in the renounced order, one who is advanced certainly feels compassion for suffering living entities. One should certainly neglect his own personal interests, although they may be very important to protect one who has surrendered. Maya is very strong. In the name of philanthropy, altruism, and communism, people are feeling compassion for suffering humanity throughout the world. Philanthropists and altruists do not realize that it is impossible to improve people's material conditions. Material conditions are already established by the superior administration according to one's karma. They cannot be changed. The only benefit we can render to suffering beings is to try to raise them to spiritual consciousness. Material comforts cannot be increased or decreased. It is therefore said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 18, Tallabhyate dukkavad anyata sukham. As far as material happiness is concerned, that comes without effort, just as tribulations come without effort. So we are thinking that happiness is coming because we are working very hard for it. But actually, Just as distress, we don't work for distress, but distress comes. Similarly, happiness also comes by itself. But we think, oh, because I did something, that's why I'm happy. But it actually comes by itself. Whatever share we are supposed to experience, share of happiness and distress we are supposed to experience in this life, we will undergo that. Material happiness and pain can be attained without endeavor. One should not bother for material activities. If one is at all sympathetic or able to do good to others, he should endeavor to raise people to Krishna consciousness. In this way, everyone advances spiritually by the grace of the Lord. So we should be compassionate for the body. I'm sorry. We should be compassionate for the person, the soul. This is what Prabhupada is saying. Because, yeah, we help one to be comfortable in the body, yes. But what about the person? We need to show that is real compassion. Because compassion to the body, yeah, it's needed to live in the material world. But we are, after all, the souls. And the suffering can stop only when the soul goes back home, back to Godhead. So we need to give this spiritual knowledge to everyone, give Krishna to everyone. In this way, everyone advances spiritually by the grace of the Lord. For our instruction, Bharat Maharaj acted in such a way. We should be very careful not to be misled by so-called welfare activities conducted in bodily terms. We should not give up his interest in attaining the favor of Lord Vishnu at any cost. Generally, people do not know this or they forget it. Consequently, they sacrifice their original interest, the attainment of Vishnu's favor, and engage in philanthropic activities for bodily comfort. Iti krita nusanga asana shayanatana snana sanadishu sahamraga.
इति कृत अनुषंग आसन शयन अटन
Asana
स्नान आसन आदिषु सहमृग
Jahona snehanubada hridaya asit.
जहो न
Jahona
स्नेह अनुबद्ध
Snehanu
हृदय
Badal
आसीत
Hridaya.
Due to attachment for the dear Maharaj Bharat, lay down with it, walked about with it, bathed with it, and even ate with it. Thus his heart became bound to the deer in affection. Kusha kusuma samit palasha phala mulokadani ahirshayamano.
कुश कुसुम समेत पलाश फलमूल उदकानि आहरिष्यमाण
Rikashala rikadibhyo bhayam आशंसमानो यदा सहसरेण.
वृक्षशाला वृक आदिभ्यो भयम् अशंसमान यदा सह हरिण
कुनकेन वनं समाविशति.
कुणकेन वनं समाविशति
When Maharaj Bharat wanted to enter the forest to collect kusha grass, flowers, wood, leaves, fruits, roots, and water, he would fear that dogs, jackals, tigers, and other ferocious animals might kill the deer. He would therefore always take the deer with him when entering the forest. How Maharaj Bharat increased his affection for the deer is described herein. Even such an exalted personality as Bharat Maharaj, who had attained loving affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, fell down from his position due to his affection for some animal. Consequently, as will be seen, he had to accept the body of a deer in his next life. Since this was the case with Bharat Maharaj, what can we say of those who are not advanced in spiritual life, but who become attached to cats and dogs. Due to their affection for cats and dogs, they have to take the same bodily forms in the next life unless they clearly increase their affection and love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless we increase our faith in the Supreme Lord, we shall be attracted to many other things. That is the cause of our material bondage. We have faith in God. We have faith in so many other things other than God, but actually we should put our faith in God. Mm. We have faith. Somebody maybe faith in their own strength, somebody in own knowledge, own, uh, you know, family or community or country. But our faith should be in God. Unless we increase our faith in the Supreme Lord, we shall be attracted to many other things. That is the cause of our material bondage. So that utter faith. But faith means depending on the Supreme Lord. Patishu cha mugdha bhavena tatra tatra vishakta mati pranaya.
पतिषु च मुग्धभावेन तत्र तत्र विषक्तमति प्रणयः
Bara hridaya karpanyat skandhenod vahati evam utsanga urasi.
भरहृदयकार्पण्यात् स्कन्देन उद्हति एवम् उत्सङ्गे उरसि
Jadhya yopala layan mudam paramam avapa.
च आधाय उपलालयन् मूर्धं परमाम् अपाप
When entering the forest, the animal would appear very attractive to Maharaj Bharat due to its childish behavior. Maharaj Bharat would even take the deer on his shoulders and carry it due to affection. His heart was so filled with great love for the deer that he would sometimes keep it on his lap or, when sleeping, on his chest. In this way, he felt great pleasure in fondling the animal. Maharaj Bharat left his home, wife, children, kingdom, and everything else to advance his spiritual life in the forest. But again, he fell victim to material affection due to his attachment to an insignificant pet deer. So we can see that how strong the material attachments are. This material energy, illusory energy of Krishna, she's very, very strong. Maharaj Bharat was able to give up the entire kingdom. He was emperor of the world. The whole planet was being called after him. And he gave up his family, the kingdom, his palace, but now he's gotten attached to the deer. What then was the use of his renouncing his family? One who's serious in advancing his spiritual life should be very cautious not to become attached to anything but Krishna. Sometimes, in order to preach, we have to accept many material activities. But we should remember that everything is for Krishna. If we remember this, there is no chance of our being victimized by material activities. So Prabhupada is saying, now Bharat Maharaj gave up so many things. Now he got attached to the deer. Then what was the use of giving up? You know? Oh, attachment to Krishna, Prabhupada is saying. Get attached to Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Bharat Maharaj could have cared for the deer. It's not abandon the deer, right? That's what it's saying. But don't get overly attached. Care care for the deer, but
Yeah,
right,
yeah, he
not
got
abandon the
over.
deer. Yeah,
Yeah, compassion, yeah, of course, because he's seeing the deer there, like, going in the water. Of course, our compassion, he's a devotee, he naturally has compassion. What he did was he gave up attachment to Krishna and he
yeah.
got too attached to the deer. He's stopped his devotional
Spiritual,
practice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh,
he stopped that. That's why, like yesterday, we heard, day before, Prabhupada was saying that one needs to carry on with their own sadhana, our
yeah.
spiritual practice. We need to do that. Yeah, is that all right? Yeah.
Yes, yes. So even when you're doing philanthropic services, you do, but then, yeah, do it in the pleasure of Krishna, like you're doing it for Krishna, right?
Yeah, do it for Krishna. Yeah, connect those activities to Krishna. Do it for Krishna's pleasure. Yeah. क्रियायां निर्वर्तयमानायम् अन्तरालेऽपि उत्थायोत्थाय
क्रियायां
क्रियायां
निर्वर्त्यमानायाम् अन्तराले अपि उत्थाय उत्थाय
यदैनम् अभिचक्षिता तर्हि वावसवर्षपति प्रकृतिस्थेन
यदा
यदेनं
एनम् अभिचक्षित
अभिचक्षिता
तर्हि भाव सवर्षपति
सर्वसपति
प्रकृतिस्थेन
प्रकृतिस्तेन
मनसा तस्मा आशीष आशास्ते स्वस्तिस्ताद्वत्सते सर्वत इति
मनसा तस्मा
सरस्वती सरस्वती
आशिष्ट
नमस्कार तस्मै आशीष
आशास्ते
आशस्ते
स्वस्ति
स्वस्ति
साध्वसते सर्वते
आत्मवर्तते
इति
सर्वतः इति.
And Maharaj Bharat was actually worshipping the Lord or was engaged in some ritualistic ceremony. Although his activities were unfinished, he would still, at intervals, get up and see where the deer was. In this way, he would look for it. And when he could see that the deer was comfortably situated, his mind and heart would be very satisfied. And he would bestow his blessings upon the deer, saying, "My dear calf, may you be happy in all respects." Because his attraction for the deer was so intense, Bharat Maharaj could not concentrate upon worshipping the Lord or performing his ritualistic ceremonies. Even though he was engaged in worshipping the deity, his mind was restless due to his inordinate affection. While trying to meditate, he would simply think of the deer, wondering where it had gone. In other words, if one's mind is distracted from worship, a mere show of worship will not be of any benefit. The fact that Bharat Maharaj had to get up at intervals to look for the deer was simply a sign that he had fallen down from the spiritual platform. So even though he was doing his rituals, whatever he needed to do, but he had given up that attachment because now he had gotten attached to the deer. So he was thinking taking care of the deer is more important than engaging in his whatever his spiritual activities were. Anyada brisham udvikna mana nashta dravina iva kripana.
अन्यादृष्टम् उद्भिन्मनः नष्टद्रव्यः इव कृपणम्
Sakarunam atitarshena harina kunaka viraha vihvala hridaya.
सकरुणम् अतितरेण
हरिदर्शेन
हरिण
हरिण गुणकविरः
कृषकविराहविलहृदय
Santapas tam evanushochan kila kashmalam mahad abhirambhita iti hovacha.
Santapastam evanushochan
किल कश्मलं
Kasmanam
महत्
Mahad
अभिरं भीभतः
Abhyarta
इति
iti Hovacha.
If Bharat Maharaj sometimes could not see the deer, his mind would be very agitated. He would become like a miser who, having obtained some riches, had lost them and then become very unhappy. When the deer was gone, he would be filled with anxiety and would lament due to separation. Thus, he would become illusioned and speak as follows. If a poor man loses some money or gold, he at once becomes very agitated. Similarly, the mind of Maharaj Bharat would become agitated when he did not see the deer. This is an example of how our attachment can be transferred. If our attachment is transferred to the Lord's service, we progress. Srila Rupa Goswami prayed to the Lord that he would be as naturally attracted to the Lord's service as young men and young women are naturally attracted to each other. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited such attachment to the Lord when he jumped into the ocean or cried at night in separation. However, if our attachment is diverted to material things instead of to the Lord, we will fall down from the spiritual platform. So, attachment, getting attached to Krishna, getting attached to devotional service, being attached to the devotees. Here, Bharat Maharaj is changing his attachment to the deer. That's why he fell down. Api batasa ve kripana ena balako mrita harini sutoho.
अपि बतस वे कृपणा एण बालकः मृत्हरिणीसुतः
Mamanaryasya shatakirata matir akrita sukritasya krita.
मम अनारस्य षट् किरात मते अकृत सुकृतस्य कृत
Visrambha atma pratyayena tad aviganayan sujana eva gamishyate.
विषब्रह्म आत्मप्रत्ययेन तत् अविगण्य सूजन इव अग्निशयति.
Bharat Maharaj would think, alas, the deer is now helpless. I am now very unfortunate, and my mind is like a cunning hunter, for it is always filled with cheating propensities and cruelty. The deer has put its faith in me, just as a good man, who has a natural interest in good behavior, forgets the misbehavior of a cunning friend and puts his faith in him. Although I have proved faithless, will this deer return and place its faith in me? Bharat Maharaj was very noble and exalted, and therefore, when the deer was absent from him, he thought himself unworthy to give it protection. Due to his attachment for the animal, he thought that the animal was as noble and exalted as he himself was. According to the logic of Atmavan Manyate Jagat, everyone thinks of others according to his own position. Therefore, Maharaj Bharat felt that the deer had left him due to his negligence, and that due to the animal's noble heart, it would again return. So we can see that how attached now Bharat Maharaj has gotten to the deer, that he's thinking that the deer is as noble as him, that he's incapable of taking care of the deer is put faith in him, but because he's not able to take care of the deer, so the deer has gone away. But the deer will come back out of his own kindness. Api sheme nasmin ashramo pavane shashpani charantam deva guptam drakshyami.
अपि क्षेमेण
Abhishemenasmin
आश्रम उपवने
ashram
शष्पाणि चरन्तं
Deva
देवगुप्तं
Guptam
दक्षयामि.
Rakshyami.
Alas, is it possible that I shall again see this animal protected by the Lord and fearless of tigers and other animals? Shall I again see him wandering in the garden eating soft grass? Maharaj Bharat thought that the animal was disappointed in his protection and had left him for the protection of a demigod. Regardless, he ardently desired to see the animal again within his ashram, eating the soft grass and not fearing tigers and other animals. Maharaj Bharat could think only of the deer and how the animal could be protected from all kinds of inauspicious things. From the materialistic point of view, such kind of thoughts may be very laudable. But from the spiritual point of view, the king was actually falling down from his exalted spiritual position and unnecessarily becoming attached to an animal. Thus degrading himself, he would have to accept an animal body. So Prabhupada is saying from material point of view, one may say, oh, so nice, so caring, he's so attached, he's so, emotional with his pet. But from spiritual point of view, he's fallen from the spiritual platform. And so he has, every chance of becoming a deer in his next life. So we can see how material and spiritual is going in the opposite.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So now the deer was not around him and he got a chance to be detached from him, right?
Yes, that's right. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he still remained attached.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good point. Yeah. He's getting a chance to get detached, but he's still very attached to the deer. And he wants the deer to come back. This is the way material attachments work, no?
Yeah. So I'm wondering, which lies above the detachment? Which is below and which is higher than detachment? Where does the faith come? The faith is always first, right?
I'm sorry, I don't think I
Uh,
have understood your question.
so I'm like, we have faith in God so much, and that's why we are doing our devotional service and we do those spiritual activities. But like we've been always reading, our mind is so restless, right? And where does this come? Attachment and detachment. Where does it come in relation with faith to God?
You mean because we have faith in God, why do we get attached to material things?
Even though we have faith in God, we still get attached, right? Our mind is too
Yes.
restless. Yeah. So I'm just
Yes.
wondering, now that we have a chance to get detached sometimes, why do we still
Yes.
remain attached, even though we have faith in God? Okay, that will be taken care of. Why does Maharaj Bharat
Because
still?
our
Yes.
hmm, because
Yeah.
our faith in God is not strong enough, and our attachment to the material things is too much. We are too attached. We don't even realize how attached we are to the material world. We are too attached, and the faith in God is not strong. So that's why we need to, it's a slight faith, but not that unshakable faith, you know? That's why it happens. It's unsteady. Unsteady. Sometimes it's there very steady, very strong. Sometimes becomes very weak. So we have to come to the platform of steadiness in devotional service, steady in our faith. And that happens after anartha nivritti, because there are too many of these material attachments in our heart. Too many. So the more we hear and chant, the more these unwanted things can go away, and the more steady we can become in our faith and our devotional service. Is that okay?
Yes. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Api, Hare Krishna.
I think for us as a human being, when things are right and without any problems, then the faith always is there. But as soon as the troubles arrive, the faith dwindles. Because then we start thinking कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है कि नहीं भगवान मेरे साथ. I'm just telling for myself also and as a simple human that sometimes when things are going in a perfect order, our faith is like, oh wow, everything is so nice, ye sab hai. But the real test is when the things are not right, then still we need to have that faith and that dwindles. So I think it is that is also one of the problems. And like same Bharat Maharaj, we can also take as our own children, like for us to reflect on that when children are far away, we miss them, we remember small things about it, and when they come, when they are with us after that long break, the first and the easiest thing to give away is our sadhana. कि ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, थोड़े दिन तो आया है, I can give that away. So I mean, if we take it practically on ourselves also, there is so much to learn from Bharat Maharaj incident, that for us also, as soon as we are in that situation where we are with our family and everything, then that is the easiest way to give away. कि कोई बात नहीं, एक
Yeah,
दिन नहीं किया तो क्या हो गया.
yes, so true. It's so true. Yeah, because we are not yet gotten that attachment for Krishna,
Yes.
not gotten the attachment for hearing and chanting. So it's so true. You know?
And we still have that attachment to our son just as the deer, because when he
Yeah.
wasn't there, Bharat Maharaj was always remembering about that deer, and so are we. कि क्या कर रहा होगा
Yeah.
वो वहां पे, अरे ठीक तो है ना, अरे उसको सब मिल तो गया ना. But then we don't have that faith that Krishna is gonna take care. What can I do? Somehow the faith lacks.
Yeah,
So
so
we don't
true.
have complete faith. So like we can learn from this incident. It's not only for the animal, but it is for us also. We are in the same boat, sailing in the same boat, I think.
Yeah, very, very, very nice. You know, just a few years ago, Karishma and we were talking about the same thing and then trying to understand who is that deer in our life, you know, or what is the deer in our life. You know, like we were hearing a seminar with Radhesham Prabhu on this topic. And then, as you rightly pointed out, you know, it could be our son, it could be, each could be having our own deer in our life.
Yes.
Yeah. So we need to find out who's that deer. We are not even aware of who that deer is. So first we'll have to be, you know, isn't it?
I agree.
Yeah. But yeah,
And I think
like,
you're right that after finding out that who that deer is, and when the deer is around, we still need to continue our sadhana and pray to Krishna that help me.
yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. You brought up a very important point, you know. Thank you for that.
Hare Krishna.
Apichana vrakasala rako niyatamo vanaika chara eka charo va bhakshayate.
अपि च
सलाप्रको अन्यतमो वाने कचर एक चरो वा भक्षति.
नाभिर्दर्शयन्ति.
I do not know, but the deer might have been eaten by a wolf or a dog, or by the boars that flock together, or the tiger who travels alone. Tigers never wander in the forest in flocks. Each tiger wanders alone, but forest boars keep together. Similarly, hogs, wolves, and dogs also do the same. Thus, Mahārāja Bharata thought that the deer had been killed by some of the many ferocious animals within the forest. Nimlochati ha Bhagavan sakala jagat modayastrai atma dyapi.
निमोलोचति भगवान् सकल जगत क्षेम उदय त्रयी आत्म अद्यपि
Mamana mriga vadhu nyasa agachati.
ममन मृगवधू न्यासः आगच्छति.
Alas, when the sun rises, all auspicious things begin. Unfortunately, they have not begun for me. The sun god is the Vedas personified, but I am bereft of all Vedic principles. That sun god is now setting. Yet the poor animal who trusted in me since its mother has died has not returned. So he's feeling so much that he's like, oh my God, the sun is also going down now. And so looks like I am bereft of Vedic principles. This is how vacant he's feeling without the deer. In the Brahma Samhita 5.52, the sun is described as the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yat chakshur esha savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramurtir ashesha teja yasyajnaya brahmati sambrata kala chakro govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. As the sun rises, one should chant the Vedic mantra beginning with the Gayatri. The sun is a symbolic representation of the eyes of the Supreme Lord. Mahārāja Bharata lamented that although the sun was going to set, due to the poor animal's absence, he could not find anything auspicious. Bharat Maharaj considered himself most unfortunate, for due to the animal's absence, there was nothing auspicious for him in the presence of the sun. He's thinking everything is inauspicious because the deer is not there. Apisvid akrita sukritam agatya mam sukhayeshyati harina raja.
अपि स्वित् अकृत सुकृतम् आगत्य मां सुख्ययिष्यति हरिणराज.
Kumaro vividha ruchira darshanya nijam mrigadaraka vinodaya.
कुमारो विविध रुचिर दर्शनीय निज मृगदारक विनोदे.
Asantosham swanam apanudan.
असन्तोषं स्वानाम अपनुदन्.
The deer is exactly like a prince. When will it return? When will it again display its personal activities which are so pleasing? When will it again pacify a wounded heart like mine? I certainly must have no pious assets. Otherwise, the deer would have returned by now. Out of strong affection, the king accepted the small deer as if it were a prince. This is called moha. Due to his anxiety over the deer's absence, the king addressed the animal as though it were his son. Out of affection, anyone can be addressed as anything. Shevilikayam mamam risha samadhina milita drisham prema.
सवेलिकायां मां मृषा समाधिम् अमिलितं दृश्यं प्रेम.
Samrambhena chakita chakita agatya prashad aparosha vishanagrina luthati.
समाधिना अमलिष्यत् दशम प्रेम संरम्भेण चकित चकित आगत्य पृषत अपरूपुष विषाण अग्रेण लूठिति.
Alas, the small deer, while playing with me and seeing me feigning meditation with closed eyes, would circumambulate me due to anger arising from love, and it would fearfully touch me with the points of its soft horns, which felt like drops of water. Now King Bharat considers his meditation false. While engaged in meditation, he was actually thinking of his deer, and he would feel great pleasure when the animal pricked him with the points of its horns. Feigning meditation, the king would actually think of the animal, and this was but a sign of his downfall. So Prabhupada is pointing out that Bharat Maharaj was pretending to meditate because he was liking the attention that the deer was giving him. So he was not actually meditating at that time on Krishna. He was meditating on the deer instead. Asadita havishi barhishi dushite mayopalabdho bhita bhita sapade.
Asaditra Havishi Barhishi Dushi Yupalapto
Sapadi.
Uparata rasa rishi kumaravad avahita karana kalapa aste.
Upratah rasa
Rishi
kumar pad
Kumaravat
avahita
Avahita
karan
Karana
kalapa asate.
When I placed all the sacrificial ingredients on the kusha grass, the deer, when playing, would touch the grass with its teeth and thus pollute it. When I chastised the deer by pushing it away, it would immediately become fearful and sit down motionless, exactly like the son of a saintly person. Thus, it would stop its play. Bharat Maharaj was constantly thinking of the activities of the deer, forgetting that such meditation and diversion of attention was killing his progress in spiritual achievement. Kim vare ar charitam tapas tapasvin yanaya yad iyam avani.
Kimva are
Are Acharitam Tapas
anya yat iyam avanihi.
Savinaya Krishna Saratanaya Tanu Tarasubhaga Shiva Tamakara.
Savinaya
Savinaya
Krishna
Krishna
Saratanya
Saratanayo
Tantan
Tanutara
Subhakshiptam
Subhaga
Akharaha.
Shiva
Kurapada Panktibher Dravina Viduraturasya Kripanasya Mama.
Khurpad
Pada
Panti Dravina Vidura Aturasya Kripanasya Mama.
Dravina Padavim Suchayanti Atmanam Cha Sarvata Krita Kautukam.
Dravina
Dravina
Padavim
Padavim
Jayanti
Suchayanti
Atmanam
Atmanam
Jasarvataha
Sarvata
Krit
Krita
Kautukam.
Kautukam
Kautukam.
Vijanam Svargapavarga Kamanam Deva Yajanam Karoti.
Vijanam
Dvijanam Svarga Upavarga
Svargapavarga
Kamanam
Kamanam
Deva
Eva
Yajnam
Yajya
Ti.
Karoti.
After speaking like a madman in this way, Maharaj Bharat got up and went outside. Seeing the footprints of the deer on the ground, he praised the footprints out of love, saying, "O unfortunate Bharat, your austerities and penances are very insignificant compared to the penance and austerity undergone by this earth planet. Due to the earth's severe penances, the footprints of this deer, which are small, beautiful, most auspicious and soft, are imprinted on the surface of this fortunate planet. This series of footprints show a person like me, who am bereaved due to loss of the deer, how the animal has passed through the forest and how I can regain my lost wealth. by these footprints, this land has become a proper place for Brahmanas who desire heavenly planets or liberation to execute sacrifices to the demigods. It is said that when a person becomes overly involved in loving affairs, he forgets himself as well as others, and he forgets how to act and how to speak. So, too much attachment. He became too compassionate, over compassionate.
So
So,
the
because he
realization came. Now the
uh,
realization came on him, came to him about this,
later,
that he's got. Still not yet.
later, not yet, not yet. Till now, he's
Okay.
too attached. He's not able to understand what's happening. Later,
So I
when
thought
he
he
finds
saw the
in
footprints.
dear body,
Okay.
yeah, but when he finds himself in the dear body, then he realizes, oh my God,
Then
what did I?
not yet. Okay.
Yeah. It is said that once, when a man's son was blind since birth, the father, out of staunch affection for the child, named him Padmalochan or lotus-eyed. This is the situation arising from blind love. Bharat Maharaj gradually fell into this condition due to his material love for the deer. It is said in the Smriti Shastra, Yasmin Deshe Mriga Krishnas, Tasmin Dharman Evodhata. The tract of land wherein the footprints of a black deer can be seen is to be understood as a suitable place to execute religious rituals. So this is Smriti Shastra is saying that where the black deers roam about, that's a suitable place. I don't know what's the significance, but this is what it's saying. And that's a good place to do this one sadhana. Okay, there's 4 minutes. Okay, we can read this then. Apiswad asau Bhagavan Udupatir enam Mrigapati Bhayanvrita.
Api swit aso Bhagavan Urupati Enam Mrigapati Bhayan
Brita.
Mataram Mrigabalakam Swashrama Paribhrashtam Anukampaya.
Mataram
Mataram Mrigabalakam Swashram Paribhrashtam Anukampaya.
Kripana Jana Vatsala Paripati.
Kripana Jana Vatsala Paripati.
Maharaj Bharat continued to speak like a madman. See, Sukadev Goswami is calling Maharaj like this madman, that he's speaking like a madman. So the one who's in knowledge understands us, that we are behaving like madmen, those who are the pure devotees. Seeing above his head the dark marks on the rising moon, which resemble the deer, he said, can it be that the moon, who is so kind to an unhappy man, might also be kind upon my deer, knowing that it has strayed from home and has become motherless? This moon has given the deer shelter near itself, just to protect it from the fearful attacks of a lion. So the marks on the moon, he's thinking that the marks of the moon is the deer, that the moon is giving shelter to the deer now. Did anyone want to add anything or any comments?
Hare Krishna, I was just thinking that he was so much attached, right? But
Yeah.
we don't have that positive and negative attachment both. It is not possible for the people of Kali Yuga like it, because maybe he was such an exalted person and such a high position. That's why even he could do that. Like, he was totally attached, like, as you said, a mad person.
Yeah. That's what Sukadev
But for
Goswami is saying, that he's become crazy, like he's become a madman
yeah,
in his attachment. Yeah.
it's something. Yeah.
That he's seeing even in a moon. Those
Yeah.
Yeah,
Imagine.
he's like completely lost it, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Like when there's so much deep attachment, then I guess a person can go to any lengths. So we have to
When you're deeply attached, it
become
makes you fall down. You get fallen down. Right?
attachment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our attachment to the material is our cause of our suffering.
Yes.
So Buddha says that, right? Attachment is the cause of suffering. But it's the material attachment that is cause of
material,
suffering, because
definitely.
spiritual attachment to Krishna, attachment to devotees, that is good attachment. But attachment materially, that is cause of suffering. So we have to change our attachment. That's all. It's not easy, but a work in progress, no? Work in progress. So continue to hear and chant. Thank you so much. Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.